Welcome to the Makeover Mama, where you will find budget-friendly videos around family food, homemaking, DIY, travel, beauty, and more. Here you will find ways that you can create a beautiful life on a budget. From my little corner in the world, I hope to inspire you to make over parts of your life and home that need some TLC. Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Karlene. Thank you for clicking on this video and choosing to spend some time with me. In today's video, I'm going to go through 4 recipes where you can cook once and eat twice. I hope that this inspires you to create new recipes at home, some budget-friendly meals for your family and your children, and I hope that sharing these meals with you will help take a load off of your mind as to what you need to make for dinner this week. I have made another video similar to this, but I had a week's worth of meals, including a grocery list in there, so I'll link that below, and I'll also be linking below some other videos that you might be interested in, like how to save money grocery shopping and some quick and easy recipes that you can make as well. I have 3 children, 3 boys, and everything that I make needs to be budget friendly, kid friendly, made in a hurry, minimum effort, maximum payoff. You get my vibe, right? So let's get, I was going to say get into the kitchen, but I'm standing in my kitchen, so let's get started. On the menu tonight, we've got sun-dried tomato chicken, and we're going to make the sauce by blending some strips of tomato with some chicken soup. And these vegetables are cheap at the moment, so even the potatoes are on special. So broccoli's $2.70 a kilo, cauliflower's $2.50 each. You know, $3.90 for a kilo capsicum when it's normally $10 a kilo, same as zucchini. So buy whatever you have on special around you. This is meant to be like a Mediterranean style because that's what we want for tomorrow. So I normally get a slab of chicken, but I'm going to make do with the 3 chicken breasts I have left after my husband raided it to make schnitzels the other night. And I'm going to cut off that little piece that you can see there. If you've got tenderloins attached to them, I normally cut them off and make them a separate piece because that's the perfect size for one of the small children that we have. And I'm going to slice them in half horizontally just to thin it out a little bit, makes it cook a little bit quicker. We're going to go ahead and season that with some salt. We're going to use pepper, and we are going to do some onion powder and garlic powder. Now this was like 5:15. We normally eat at 6 o'clock, but I was under the pump. Normally I do both sides. Not today. Not today, didn't have the time. So I'm going to use my immersion blender. It's like 10 years old, look at it, it's a bit sad. I'm going to blend up half a jar of sun-dried tomato strips with a can of chicken soup. Now this was the Woolies brand. I liked the Coles brand when I tried this recipe when I made it the first time, and I liked the Coles brand better because I had like Italian like herbs and spices in it and seasoning. And I also had like the larger, just normal chicken soup, can you just picture that noise when it comes out of the can? Gross. Look away. So you can use it doesn't have to be creamy chicken soup. I used the normal creamy chicken soup last time because it was like a can and a half, like the size in comparison. I'm saying shh, the baby's asleep, let's hope he doesn't wake up. This is my angel baby. Get number 3. Yeah, laughing at it reminds me of Terminator. Look at his little eyeball hanging out there. I'm thinking, do you reckon I'll get shocked? No, I got a safety switch, it's fine. Alright, so satisfying when you see things blend together in an immersion blender. Is it just me that finds that so satisfying? Anyway, we're just gonna blend through this, power this up, and I want it to be kind of chunky. I don't want it to be like super smooth and blended. I want to see like bits of tomato in there, also for the flavor as well, that it's just, when you take a bite, it's not just like mush. So it's going to look like that. Really simple to do, and the reason why I wanted to make my own instead of just buying, like, hey Karlene, why don't you just buy a jar of sauce? Well, I wanted the whole tomato strips for tomorrow's dinner, and without having to buy another product. And then it's also like less like food coloring, less food chemicals and stuff than just regular jar stuff. Just make it myself. I could have stirred it through. You can see the chicken down the bottom is like just sitting on top, but it cooked fine. I was really just trying to get this in the oven. If you had some breadcrumbs, I would top that first before putting the cheese on top. I didn't have any, and I knew the food processor would definitely wake him up for me to make a batch of breadcrumbs. I need to do that. I'm all out in my freezer. So we're going to go ahead and prep the potatoes next. So how I'm going to do the hasselbacks is I'm going to cut them in half, use a bamboo skewer to stop you from slicing all the way through. It's like a guide. And then I'm just going to try and cut them like thinly, and then after we microwave them and then chuck them in the oven, they'll sort of like split open and you'll see that hasselback look. So this is just a cheats way to do it. I could have done it like a lot more super fine, but by this point I was like, man, I need to feed these kids. Kids are being homesick. You can probably hear it in my voice. I caught a bit of a sniffle too, and I just needed to get this in the oven, get everyone fed, and an early night because yeah, they were homesick from school. So I'm just going to prep these really quickly. I'm going to chuck them in my Pyrex dish. I made a joke last time. It's a new Pyrex dish from 1995. This is true. I'm just going to flick a little bit of water in there, microwave that. Normally I do 10 minutes, but I think I did 14 minutes because they're like half a potato, not just like chips. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prep the vegetables that need to be done for dinner. So I regret my decision on the size of bowl that I choose. You'll see in a minute. And I'm just keeping my veggie scraps for our worm farm if you're wondering what I'm doing there. So I'm just going to go ahead and prep these really simply, kind of like rustic, kind of chunky, and then we're going to go ahead and roast these because I want everything to be done easily, right? I've got 3 kids. I'm still, you don't see it in between here, but I'm getting one in the shower, getting one in the bath, getting up, blending baby food in between. So I'm just trying to power through this and wash the veggies as I go. I also don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so I'm just going to chop through this. The editing, not the capsicum, chop through editing the video. I hope you don't mind that it is done this way. You can let me know in the comments below if you want me to smooth it out a little bit more. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and slice up all these vegetables that'll go well for dinner tonight and then tomorrow night as well. I don't want to give myself any more work to do. Where have I gone here? I think I was checking the microwave of the potatoes, making sure that they're all good to go. And I love doing red onion in this as well. I'm just going to use, do I just use half? Is that where I went? Maybe I should have edited that bit out. Anyway, I want them all to be the same size so that they cook evenly. I think this is the point where I'm thinking, yeah, I need a bigger bowl. I wanted to give myself less washing up to do, but here we are. We're going to drizzle it with some olive oil and we're going to season it with, I always do salt and pepper, and I think I throw in some garlic powder as well because I want that to be really flavoursome. We're just going to, I do onion powder too, there you go. And I'm just going to massage that through so all of those vegetables have that flavour, and that will help carry across to dinner tomorrow night, so I don't need to spend any extra time seasoning stuff tomorrow night. So we're just going to mix that through really well, and then we're just going to tip that out onto our alfoil tray. I did spray that first, and I'm just arranging it so all the florets of like the cauliflower and the broccoli are face up. So I'm just going ahead, getting a free facial here, checking the potatoes to make sure that they're cooked all the way through, and I move it over the most difficult way possible while holding oven gloves in the other hand. Did you notice? What? I'm obviously still not feeling great, not thinking properly. So I'm going to shuffle the veggies over because I've got a tray of chicken in there, and now I've got to put the veggies back in, and I need a bigger oven. So this is what we're going to do to make sure this fits. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish roasting the veggies in the same tray, and because the potatoes are like cooked now and they're soft, I'm just going to go ahead and put them on the same thing. So they'll probably take another 15 minutes, if that, just to brown them up. I got a cranky baby here that's telling me, I'm hungry, mum, feed me, it's my turn. So you can see him looking around and kicking me there. Don't mind him. So yes, I also sometimes I like to sort of squeeze these like on an angle, and it kind of opens up that hasselback look a little bit more. I found these potatoes took a little bit longer to cook than the ones that I regularly buy. I don't know if they were like a bad batch or something, but they felt like it took forever. Anyway, so they weren't so soft to like squeeze through and like malleable to shape, but that's okay, we just made do. So I'm going to go ahead and throw them on my oven tray, and I'm going to use the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes to add some flavour and some colour to the potatoes. And I also don't like to waste food, so win-win. Like I said before, I preferred the Coles one because the Coles one had Italian seasonings, and you could see like the dried oregano, basil, parsley, or whatever it was that they put in there. That's my imagination of what should belong in there. So to help make them look more delicious. I'm going to just sprinkle some Italian seasoning on top. You don't have to do this. You can do cracked pepper. You can do some paprika for some color. Use what you have. Don't feel like you have to buy extra stuff. Now, we're all about saving money at the moment, right? With inflation and grocery bills being so high. If you want to watch a video on how to save money on your grocery budget and on food, I will link a video below with like 20 plus tips on things that you can do to save yourself some money, save your family some money. He's kicking me there. So I'm just going to go and double check that the chicken is cooked all the way through, because I didn't stir it, I didn't turn them over, I didn't touch them, I just plonked it in the oven and then left it and then got on with my life of a witching hour. And you know how busy it is in the evening. You know, I don't have to tell you twice. So that's all done, looks delish. So I'm just going to pop that to the side and let it cool down so then the kids can eat straight away. He's Ollie coming in for a cuddle his brother after having a shower, bath time. Okay, veggies are done, potatoes are done, and this is what it looks like. So I totally butchered the top of that. Look, where did all the cheese go? I was trying to get a couple of nice pieces and I just butchered it. By this time, I think it was after 6, and baby's hungry, kids are hungry, and I just needed to get it plated and on the table. So please forgive me for for that. It doesn't look as beautiful as it did before, but plate of dinner is served and on budget, not very expensive, and still pretty easy to make. This was so good. The kids loved it. They loved the crispiness of the potatoes. The chicken wasn't dry. There was lots of yummy sauce to have. So highly recommend making this. Try making it at home. Let me know what you think. And the best part is I get to cook tonight, and then I pretty much get tomorrow night off. Tomorrow night's going to be a spin-off meal using these ingredients, and then we'll be good to go for an easy night tomorrow night. So we're up to night 2. So I normally would have 4 chicken breasts, like I said, but I only have 3. This is what I have left. So I'd normally chop up some bacon to try and, bulk that up a little bit, but I just don't have the time. It is like 5:45, so I just need to get this in the oven. So this is the vegetables that I've got left from last night, and I was going to wilt some spinach, but I bought a 4-leaf salad, so I'm just going to pick out the spinach leaves out of this and add that to the pasta as well. And we've got our half jar of sun-dried tomatoes left over from yesterday. I just bought whatever pasta was on special, and I've got some cheese to add in as well. I've got some salted pasta water on the boil, and then I'm going to just cube up everything else into the same sort of sized pieces so it will like warm up evenly in the fry pan. So because I used a smaller oven dish last night than what I would normally use, because my other one, and you saw it last time, it looked pretty disgusting even though I scrubbed the hell out of it, and I used a smaller one. So I think because it didn't have like a large surface area, it wasn't as it didn't thicken up as much and dry out as much. It was on the runnier side, but I do want to have this as a thick creamy pasta, so I'll be adding to the sauce shortly. With the leftover veggies, you can just throw it in exactly as it is if you like. I'm trying to encourage my kids to eat the rainbow, as they say, but they don't like cauliflower. I love cauliflower. I feel like it absorbs the flavor, everything you put it in. I think it's so great, but they hate it. So I am trying to just cut that a little bit finer to disguise it in the creamy sauce, hoping that I get a bit into them, and the broccoli as well, because my middle child will pick that out. But I mean, you don't have to do that. Save yourself the time and the job if you don't need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick out some spinach leaves because they're sooky. I'm going to pick out some spinach leaves because I didn't buy spinach separately. Saved myself $3 or $5 a bag there. And I'm just going to pick out some out of this just to wilt through the pasta at the end, add a bit of bright green, and I'm just picking out the good leaves and leaving the scungy ones behind there. I don't know why I just didn't throw it straight in the bin or give it to the worm farm. Anyway, note to future self. I'm just going to add the sun-dried tomato strips to this dish along with everything else, just save myself some washing up. That's just the way that I'm going to prepare it. And I'm not pausing for dramatic effect. I'm just trying to drain the oil off of it as I went. So I'm just preheating that fry pan, and I just want everything to warm up evenly, like starting cold instead of throwing it into a hot fry pan and having the sauce burn and dry out, and then other things are still cold. So we're just going to throw it into a cold fry pan and have that warm up together. Now, because I'm going to use a whole pack of pasta, I need more sauce. So we can either do that by, adding in another jar of some sort of soup or liquid if you wanted to, but I don't want to spend any more money. But I mean, that's option number one, right? So you can add in a can of evaporated milk. You can add in a little bottle of fresh cream. I'm going to take option 4, which is using something that you already have instead of spending more money. And I'm trying to show you how to do everything on a budget. So we're going to add some milk, and then we're going to thicken it up with some corn flour as well to try and thicken up the whole sauce, and so it's not so dry. Next up, we're going to grate some cheese, and that will add a little bit of saltiness to the sauce as well as thicken it up a little bit, and we're going to add that later on. We're going to cover it with a lid to stop any of that moisture from evaporating, and this is how it's looking so far. It's a bit hard to film one-handed with a baby strap to you, FYI, so I'm sorry if you're getting motion sickness watching this. You're going to get a bit of motion sickness later on too, I'm just going to warn you now. So we're going to go ahead, now that our water is hot enough, we're just going to go ahead and add our pasta to the water. Alright, so we're going to work our magic with the sauce now. So I've got some corn flour here, and I'm adding a heaped tablespoon to about a quarter of milk, and I'm just going to stir that through and mix that up, and then I'm going to top up the milk to make up a cup of liquid total. So this will save me, $3-4 instead of having to buy another, soup or jar product, and we're just going to use what we have, like I said earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir that through and let that corn flour cook off. The great thing about corn flour is that it won't leave your food tasting floury as opposed to using like plain flour. And we're going to go ahead and add that cheese as well. Oh God, baby, you look so sleepy. So we're just going to go and stir that through and make sure that warms up evenly. We're going to cover that with the lid to stop it from evaporating, same as before. Just going to give that pasta a stir and get dinner on the table quickly. So motion sickness incoming. I had to instigate some help here from my husband because the baby was not happy by this point. It was just kicking my arms and everything every time I tried to hold the camera. So I've stirred the spinach through. I drained the pasta. I don't rinse my pasta after I've drained it if we're just about to eat. The sauce has thickened up, as you can see here. It's not super runny. You want a bit of liquid because there's a lot of pasta there. You want to add some flavor to, and I didn't add any extra seasoning of salt and pepper or anything like that, garlic powder, nothing, because we did all of that last night, and with the saltiness from the cheese, like that was enough for tonight. And this is what one little bowl looks like, and there was a ton left over. I'm racing the clock again tonight. I've started late. I've got to do meatballs, sauce, veggies, and yeah, I'm running behind. So I'm going to start by, look at my little sad container. I couldn't find the little pop off bit of the lid, so I just put cling wrap on it and then put the lid back on. Anyway, moving along, I did find it today. It's like 4 days later. We're going to soak 1 cup of oats in 1 cup of milk. Can you remind me never to wear this dress again? It was so annoying getting into the bowl, but I honestly didn't even have a second to get changed. I just needed to make dinner. So we're going to soak oatmeal in the milk to help extend the meat and make the meat go further. If you want some other ways to save some money on your grocery food, yes, I'll link that same video below. So I don't want hard chunks of oatmeal in a meatball. So I want it to be just marinating my dress. Stop it. My God. Yeah, I don't want hard chunks in my meatballs, or like for the kids to be like, what's in here? So I'm soaking it first in milk so that doesn't happen. Normally I would have done that a little bit earlier, but I am racing the clock, as I said. I'm throwing in a slab of mince here. This is 1 kilo of mince, and I'm also going to be adding in a couple of eggs to help them bind together. seasoning with some pepper. We've got some salt. And we're going to do some onion powder and some garlic powder. I think it was going to be about a teaspoon or so, but I was just rushing as usual, so I was like, that's enough. Trying to smack it around a little bit to get a little bit more out. So you can be a little bit more generous if you like, since it is a kilo of meat. It did call for 1 cup of cracker crumbs. Last time I used rice bubbles and it worked fine, so we're going to be doing that again. Now this recipe is from Hope. Is it Hellsmith? Her Hope's Table Mennonite cooking book, and it's taken from that. I made a couple of little tweaks, things I left out, but I will link her cookbook below. I absolutely love it. You can also borrow it from your local library or get them to order it in for you if you like as well, is another option. So I'm just going to massage that all together to make sure that it is mixed in evenly, and you can't even see the rice bubbles at this point. It's just helping to bulk it up. So I'm just throwing them into each hand to sort of smack any little air bubbles out of it. And I make them on the smaller side, so then it's just easier to portion up for the kids' dinner. Was a bit of an odd sort of number there, so I just poked the other last 2 on the side. So we're going to make the meatloaf sauce sort of topping part. So I halved the recipe for this because it was an insane amount of ketchup. So 1 cup of ketchup, 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I was a bit heavy-handed because I just literally just used my hand because I didn't want to get all the brown sugar stuck on the tomato sauce and made it hard for me to make it harder for me to clean it out. And I'm just going to add in some onion powder. I think it called for about a teaspoon or so, but yeah, I was on the skimp sort of side. Some garlic powder. I'm going to add in some, it did call for liquid smoke, I believe, but I don't have that, and I've never even seen it at the shops. I think you can get them from the butchers and things, but I already own smoked paprika, and I've been using this every other time I've made this recipe, and it works well. So add a teaspoon of that, add a squirt of some lemon juice, and to warm it up a little bit, just a little pinch of the cayenne pepper, just to warm it up, but not too much because, yeah, young children, so add as much as you like. I'm like, I'm just going to throw the rest of that in the sink. That's on my fingertips before I burn the baby's eye. And I'm just going to, so satisfying, drip all of these on top of our mini meatballs, ready to pop it into the oven. And as you can see, I feel like it makes enough. I feel like that's plenty. So I don't feel like I needed to double the recipe like it said, but up to you. You do you. Now they're ready to put in the oven. At this point though, this is something you can make ahead in the morning if you've got sport or something after school and you just want to come home, put it in the oven. You can just make this ahead. That works really well for this recipe. So what am I doing tonight? Am I doing chips tonight? I can't remember. Let's see how I cut it. Yeah, home style chips. Home style fries. I didn't want to use the mandolin because I feel like the size isn't quite right for home style fries. But yeah, I like leaving the skin on them because it just helps to crisp them up a little bit as well, and it's extra fiber, so you know, we'll go with that. And I'm just cutting off any of the suspicious looking parts that look a bit grungy that the kids definitely would not eat. This is also the reason why, not the grungy parts, it's not the reason, but the reason why I like to buy washed like potatoes like this is because you've probably noticed this is how I like to prepare my food. I try and make it really quick and easy and simple for myself. So if I was to buy the cheaper, what's the other potatoes? Just the normal brush potatoes or the washed potatoes, like, you know, the dirty ones. I used to buy them all the time, but when I started having to change the way I cook because I've got, you know, 3 young kids, having it like this ready to go is so much easier than having to like peel potatoes and wash potatoes myself. So note to self, worth the extra $1 for the bag of washed potatoes. So I'm just going to head over to the sink and I'm just going to splash a little bit of water in there, not too much. I don't want the bottom of the glass dish to be full of water by any means. And I'm just going to add a bit of moisture and then I'm going to zap that for 10 minutes. And while that is getting cooked through, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the broccoli. And because it is winter here, this is my favorite way to prep broccoli at the moment for this season. So I just like to cut them into smaller little florets, and I'm just going to add some olive oil and some garlic powder. It just makes them so tasty and sort of meaty, and when they brown up, like the browny, like blacky parts, are like the tastiest bit. I love it. It's my favorite way to eat broccoli, and I used to hate broccoli. Now it's $2.70 a kilo. I'm just like, everybody's having broccoli for dinner. Everybody. Okay, by this point, you know the drill. Season your food. We're going to add some salt, we're going to add some pepper and some garlic powder as well. You can experiment with other flavors, but this has just been my go-to. It's kind of like, you know, when you put your work uniform on in the morning, you don't have to think. You know, I was going to say look good, but I haven't seen what your work uniform looks like. But you know what I'm saying? Like, well, you don't have to think about it. You can just quickly prepare your veggies and get it cooking and have dinner on the table really quickly with like minimal effort. I'm all about that this season of life. So I'm just going to go ahead and check the potatoes and stirring them through to make sure that they have been cooked evenly. And now I'm going to just leave the lid ajar a little bit and drain all of that excess water. Just going to go ahead and add some butter for some flavor and just to help those potato skins crisp up, and a sprinkle of some oil as well. And I'm just going to leave the lid on and just shake that around to help mix that all together evenly. And I'm just going to tip that out onto my tray and spread it out so that they can brown up evenly, and chuck that in the oven. Alright, now everything is done. Our meatballs are ready to go. They turned a little bit blackened on the top, I think because I was heavy-handed with the brown sugar. That hasn't happened to me before. And our homemade chips are done, and our broccoli is done as well. I was going to bake some cheese on top, but I just don't have the time. So I'm just going to stir through some seasoning, and I'll link a video below. I use a tablespoon of this all-purpose seasoning. I've used this on like brisket rub, and I use it on my like chips and wedges and fries and things like that too, roast veggies. And I'm just going to add some extra salt because salt goes so well with potatoes and brings out the natural flavor of them. And I'm also going to add a little bit of like dried parsley as well. If you wanted to add, you know, oregano or basil or thyme, whatever you want to do, you can do that as well. Think about like rosemary and sea salt kind of flavors, you know, go crazy. And just to make it a little bit more special, because I didn't have time to dump some cheese on there and bake it again, everybody was hungry by this time, and I wanted to do sour cream and chives, like mashed potato with the meatballs, but no one else in my family likes mashed potato. Well, not as much as I do. So the compromise is fries with sour cream. And I'm just going to garnish it a little bit with some of the parsley just to make it look yummy for my family. Make it look like it was made with love, and dinner is ready. Let's eat. So this is what it looks like. So those brown bits on the broccoli, they're not burnt, like inedible, they're like crispy and tasty. The fries ended up really good, and this is what the meatballs look like. So there's a little bit of sauce in the bottom that I could like spoon over the meatballs as I served them. Nice and crispy and ready to go. The kids love this meal, we have it all the time. Alright, it's the second night after the meatballs, so we're on the home stretch here. So this is the amount of meatballs that I have left after we all had dinner, and my husband took leftovers to lunch as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do some wedges, I'm going to do some salads, and I'm just going to do the typical seasonings that I always do for the potatoes, and I'm going to dress up the bread as well. So think about it being Subway inspired meal, meatball subs. And what gave me the idea was actually getting a 12 pack of hot dog buns for like $2.40 when they're normally what, $2-3 for just $6. So I learnt my lesson from the other night. It took forever to make the potatoes, so I'm going to start with them. And tonight I'm going to do wedges. So I'm just going to cut them all as evenly as I can, just to help them cook that little bit faster. And I'm just going to go ahead and prep the rest of those. And as I did earlier, I'm literally adding like 2 palmfuls of water to the bottom of my dish. You don't want it to have too much water in there. You can sort of see down the bottom that it's not full. So I'm just going to go ahead and microwave that for 10 minutes. And while that is sort of pre-cooking, ready to get crispy in the oven, I'm just going to go ahead and get all of my salads ready for like my, I'm doing little quotation marks here, my Subway salad bar for the kids to be able to pick all their stuff out. So I'm just seasoning the salad leaves with some olive oil, salt and pepper so they're not like dry. I hate that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut strips out of the capsicum that we used earlier in the week. Going to add some colour, and so we do capsicum, so we're going to run with that. I didn't have olives or jalapenos. They're not things that I keep on hand every week all the time, so I'm just going to use what I already have to save me some money instead of having to buy unnecessary extra stuff. So to save me some money this week, I bought my carrots from like the odd bunch section or the ugly bunch section at Woolies, and it looked like I had little bum cheeks and a little bunny tail on my carrot. It made me laugh. But anyway, he'll be still good on the inside, just the same as all the other more expensive carrots. We'll be fine. As I was preparing this, ahead of mealtime, I just wanted to massage through a little bit of olive oil to see if it would stop them from going like brown or like grey at the edges and sad, and it worked, so I didn't notice that. So that's something you can do at home as well. And this is what our little mini salad bar is going to look like in the middle of our table. So I'm just checking the potatoes again to make sure that they are done. They've been drained. I'm just going to go ahead and throw them into a bowl, and I was like, why didn't I just use this container? Why did I give myself an extra bowl to wash up? Anyway, I was committed by that point. So this time I thought I would try and season the wedges before they go into the oven as opposed to when it's done. So I was a bit more heavy-handed with the seasoning this time. This was closer to maybe 2 tablespoons or so compared to when I did the fries. And I'm just sprinkling, I don't know what I was going to say, sprinkling in some extra salt, some pepper, and this time I'm also going to add in, it's probably about a half a tablespoon or so, maybe closer to a tablespoon of corn flour, because I wanted them to have like a crispy sort of coating. And then I thought, wait a second, oregano would be really nice in this too, so I added a little bit of oregano just to make sure that they were really flavorful and different to what we had the night before. So just because you want to, be budget friendly or frugal with your food doesn't mean it has to be boring. We're just going to prepare our food in slightly different ways to make them a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting, a little bit different, so that you don't feel like you're just having, meat, veg and potatoes every night of the week. Now that's mixed through, I'm just going to go ahead and just tip that out onto a prepared tray, and I'm going to sort of spread them out so that they're not laying on top of each other to help the skin crisp up, and that's going to go straight into the oven. And then while that is baking, while it was baking, my camera battery died, so this is my phone. Welcome back. And what was I doing? While the other stuff is baking, I'm going to drizzle some fancy stuff on our basic sale hot dogs to make them feel a little bit more special. So thinking about Subway, they've got, their honey nut bread and their Italian herb seasoning bread or something. It's been a while since I've been there now that I think about it. So I'm going to do something similar. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to split my buns. I think I had 10 meatballs left, so I'm just going to do up 5 buns for all of us for dinner, thinking that hubby might have 2, because after I looked at it I thought these hot dog buns look on the smallerish side. Maybe that's why they were on sale, but big enough for us to have dinner, which is fine. So I'm just going to sort of split them open, ready to receive the meatballs, and that's when I thought, oh, this might be a good idea to put cheese on the bottom of that. Anyway, I'm just going to melt some butter. I'm going to add in, I don't know how much, you should saw the chunk that I showed you before. I wasn't even paying attention. I don't know, not even a quarter of a cup, like maybe 2 tablespoons. Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, and I'm going to add in some Italian herbs as well to add a bit of aroma and color and flavor to our meal, so it's not just a basic hot dog bun. And I had everything on hand, so why not make it a bit more special for my boys? I think what? Yes, I need to get some new kitchen stuff. Please don't hate me. I'm getting there. Okay, I'm trying to keep everything together over here. Okay, we're just gonna start with dinner. Okay, we'll deal with the crappy appliances later. And if you're wondering, no, I haven't replaced that whisk yet neither. Now this is what they look like. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could grind up some oats or something, add some other flavor, but we're gonna stop there. Alright, I'm just gonna add some cheese to the bottom of my subs before the meatballs go in. So I'm just massaging my frozen cheese. So I like to process my own cheese instead of having to buy like a bag of shredded and then a block of cheese. It's just cheaper for me to buy a block and split it, and I store it in the freezer, so and use it as I need it. So I'm just going to add a little bit into the bottom of each sub, and this is when I realized that they're going to be too fat. By the time I see how big the meatballs are, they're going to be too fat in there, so I'm just having to shuffle them around and get them all to fit on the one tray. So our meatballs have just been warmed up in the microwave, so I'm just going to go ahead and add those in. I microwave them first because I didn't want the center to be like cold and disgusting when you bite into it. If you wanted to just put it in the oven just quickly just to warm the bread up and to melt the cheese, that wouldn't be nice. I'm just going to go on top each one with some more cheese, and then we'll get them into the oven so we can serve dinner. I've just swapped the trays over so the wedges look done, and I was just sort of shaking them around, so yes, I ripped my alfoil there, don't mind that. They're still nice and hot, but yeah, they crisped up really nicely. The color looked really good, so I was really happy with how those turned out. They definitely were different to the fries we had the night before. Our subs are done, the cheese is melted, so this is a fun sort of family dinner to have, you know, Friday night, Saturday night, and to have all of this color in the middle of the table. And my kids love this type of meal where there's lots happening sort of in the center of the table. It makes it exciting. They can just pick the sub, pick their salad, pick what they want to put on there, and make their own dinner as well.
And that's a wrap. So thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be making some more meal videos soon. We're also getting ready to head to the snow in a couple of weeks as well. So if you want to see a travel vlog, traveling with 3 children, 3 boys to the snow, I can share with you how that goes. You can also find me on Instagram as well for some quicker little updates and little videos along the way as well. So thank you guys. Thanks for spending some time with me in my kitchen, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Thanks for watching, guys, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss my next video. Thanks again. Bye for now.